Hey guys, what's up? It's car time with Schla. And today, I just thought of that like on the fly. I was like car time with Schla instead of car ride with Schla. I think it sounds a little sillier. I might actually change the series to that name just because I just thought of that. Car time with Schla as opposed to car ride with Schla. It just has so much more like funniness to it. So today I think was a pretty like significant day. It was the first upload of Car Rides Witchaw, and it only got 2 views, which is definitely below where my expectations were. And I was already, I was optimistic, obviously. I don't think I was really too worried or putting any limiting energy out into the ether. I wasn't really doing any of that, and I don't know. It still ended up performing pretty poorly. I think that the algorithm does not like that it's just all black and the title is not. But regardless, because you're thinking higher than the algorithm, I really think there's a bigger message going on. And it's something that I don't think I would have even understood if it wasn't for this. Also, to give you guys a little context, my first video on isolation that I uploaded got 74 views. Now it's been out for a while, but that video is doing quite well, obviously. And, I don't know that there's much of a rhyme or reason for that. Well, that's me like autopiloting. Sorry, like I said, sometimes my brain shuts off and I keep talking and then I end up saying things that like don't really make any sense. So it was, because again, it had the thumbnail. I think it's even, it had a thumbnail. I guess it looks like a more interesting video. The Car Rides with Schla didn't even have like a title. I think maybe as a minimum, I should probably make the thumbnail like a typed out title that maybe, but the problem with that is that they're all recorded behind, so I don't even really remember what the episodes are, and I haven't re-listened to all of them. I was really gonna do that at first, but I have not been doing that. I have been not re-listening to them, which is, I don't know. Maybe you could criticize me for that, but I haven't. And I probably, like, what I plan to do is watch them when they're uploaded, which I guess is, I should probably, if we're talking about what's optimal, I should watch them all before uploading them. And then I know what the title would be. Maybe someday we'll get to that. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want it to become too much of a chore. And I'm not saying that because I'm lazy. I'm saying it because I'm prone to burnout. And for the time being, this is a very fun thing. And I'm afraid if I really start doing that, it's going to lead to burnout. So for now, we're just seeing how things go. I think we're taking things one step at a time, right? Just seeing how things go. I'm not really, and now we'll get to the main topic. I think that I have lived my life in a way that has been very destructive. I think it's been good. I think what I try to do with my interactions with other people has been good. I think I do so much to give a person company, try to show them what it would be like to be, someone who's caring, somebody who is dependable, somebody who's reliable, all rare things in this world. But again, I think it's typically just very underappreciated, not appreciated, or even worse, some people don't even like it. Some people just, they don't want somebody to be dependable and to care about them, because I think what happens is if you get cared for too much and then you can't reciprocate it, I think you don't want to do it, right? You just, obviously you feel bad, and I think that's what happens to a lot of people who I've interacted with, and that's why things don't last. And this has been friendships, this is relationships. I'm just being me. I'm just doing what I think is best, but I think the truth is my best is a lot more giving. Now, granted, I think I'm giving vocally. I don't think I'm not too well-rounded of a person. I can be overbearing, but I think vocally I definitely deliver. But I don't know, a lot of people can't even appreciate that necessarily. A lot of people are not really that linguistically oriented, and so even if somebody is that talented, I just think they don't appreciate that, and then they see my flaws. Because it's like, let's say someone can only acknowledge someone being a 7 out of 10 vocally, and I'm like a 9 out of 10. Okay? So then it doesn't matter that I'm a 9 out of 10, because all they see is a 7 out of 10. But I might be lower in other ways, you know, like because I do think that's kind of how I've been. I'm not super good at the other kind of things that come with bonding. So yeah, now I digress. I've been very giving. I've really put myself out there for a lot of people. And again, I think it doesn't end up ending well, because it's just too much. People are not used to that, and they're used to somebody not caring. They're used to somebody you don't have any pressure to talk to or anything. I mean, people are used to absolutely no care at all and being dismissed and ignored. So I think it's just too much when I come in the picture and it's like I'm actually just like a reasonable human being. I don't know. But none of this matters. None of this matters. I think I'm just giving it as sort of a prerequisite to give a little more insight into what I'm about to talk about, which is I've really done everything because I've always wanted to help someone. There's so many core beliefs that I have. Obviously, if you watched the isolation video, I'm literally talking about how I believe how critical and essential human socializing is, and how isolation is like the single most destructive thing, to the point where I question whether introverts are real or not. And that has been a very defining feature and trait of mine, I want to say since I was 17, maybe. I started having those thoughts. The original kind of foundation for that was my seeing how people obsess over media. And what I mean by media is like TV shows and all that kind of stuff, and how it is semi-social in the sense of, you know, you watch people, you sort of know the characters that you spend a lot of time watching, right? It's not like you don't know them. And yeah, you get to know them, but they can't reciprocate anything. And I almost think that like gets into people's heads, and it changes like how our brains work? Because like you're so used to just watching a YouTuber where you don't have to reciprocate anything. I mean, I would go as far as to say, and this is actually a good video idea because I haven't really thought about this point directly before. I think there are people out there who, and I think this is pretty safe to say, and I don't think it's everyone, but I think it's some of us, who have spent more time listening to a YouTuber or a streamer than they have like actually talking to somebody on a regular basis. I think people like that exist, and I think it's probably changing the way that the brain interacts with social relationships and how we even think of people or what we even want out of people. Because if you think about it, that is how a podcast or a content creator works. You're listening to my video now, but you don't owe me a thing. You can get very invested. I'm even a very specific example of this. You could watch my videos a lot. I'm putting a lot of content out, and it's like a friend. It is a similar vibe. But you can also click off whenever you want. There's nothing, you know, I can't do anything, and I'm not going to be mad if you do. There's no, I mean, I get a repercussion of less viewership, and it hurts my channel, but you don't see that as the viewer. And so I think it's changing our brain chemistry and the way that we interact with others. I do. Because, again, it is not exactly the same, but if you're on TikTok and you're scrolling and you see, you know, you hear someone talking, like let's say my video right now was just a TikTok, you could just swipe right past me. And I don't know that. Right? I'm not going to know that you blew me off. You don't get any negative for it. You don't get any demerit. I get the hurt, right? The creator gets hurt if you give them lower retention. But I just wonder what that does to our brains. You know, like that constant, like, oh, well, if I'm bored, I can just skip. I can just go on to the next person. Because you can do that and get away with it in this day and age. And I think giving humans that option is incredibly dangerous. And I think I'm really onto something with this. If somebody doesn't steal my idea, I'm going to upload a video on it. The guy behind me is incredibly angry. I don't know why, because there's like a traffic jam. He's like scowling, and he's like flooring it and unflooring it, flooring it and unflooring it. But we're in a traffic jam, so I don't really understand what his problem is. Anyways, yeah, I mean, he just has like the grouchiest scowl on his face. I cannot get over this, and we're like, I'm not doing anything. Like, oh my gosh. Now, as for what I was talking about, I do think, I mean, that was a side tangent, obviously, but I think that's a very relevant thing to think about. I think that because we spend so much time like listening to things passively, it makes it more difficult for our brain to really lock into a conversation. Because we are so used to being on passive mode when we're listening. Oh my gosh, like I can't believe I'm just thinking of this. I'm pretty sure it is changing our brains, and nobody is talking about this. Well, no, somebody probably is. I'm not that groundbreaking, but that's just so crazy. I don't know, that blows my mind. Like that just that point alone is such an interesting. And I can't believe I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's passing me. Please go ahead. Oh my gosh. My point is that I've always lived in this, I guess I took on the role of trying to fix everything and I thought I was just going to be giving and somebody out there was going to appreciate it. But I think that was far too naive and simplistic of a view of it. You know, I mean, I was younger at the time. And there's merit to what I'm saying, but I don't think it doesn't work, right? I've been giving, I've tried to help people, but when people don't want help, it doesn't work, and it gets messy. And you know, I'm sure some people hearing me are thinking like, you know, what you get a load of this guy, you know, like that's probably what some people think. But yeah, there's a very nice Bentley in front of me. I really do like Bentley. And it's black. I wish I could take a picture, but I don't. Oh, I actually do have a second phone, so I actually could take a picture. But I don't care. I'm just saying it's very pleasing. I'm lusting. I'm lusting after this. It's not a new Bentley either. It's not old, but it's not new, and I like that. And someone just merged in front of it, so, and he's merging out, so I'm not going to be behind him anymore. All right, so I guess my lust will now. Sorry, I was crushing. I was really crushing. I couldn't stay focused on my video, but now that it's out of my eyes, I can yeah. So let's see. 16 minutes in, are you gonna finally get to the point, Schla? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, At first, I know I'm going to be a late bloomer. I know that it's going to happen eventually and not now and all that stuff. But it really did hurt me that the video, like, nobody's watching it. Like, I really thought some people were going to watch it. Now, I think my original expectation was maybe like 20-something views. I think my reassessed expectation was like 6. So then when it only got 2, which one of the 2 was me, I mean, that really, you know, that, I don't know. It makes my heart sink, you know, because maybe it'll just take time for people to see the vision and the consistency and whatnot. But the whole point is that even with that, this original idea stemmed from this thing to do with, like, what is going on? I am very, very confused. Maybe somebody, like, hit somebody or something? No, I think it's just people not really driving right and having to, like, brake abruptly into the shoulder because they're, like, no chill. 18 minutes in, are we gonna get to the point? So, yeah, no, it just totally destroyed. I mean, I was thinking of giving up. But of course, I mean, that's like, what, one moment to the next, I could be in a different emotional state. I bounce around a lot. I'm a bouncer. I got in my head really hard because I was about to say like a filler word and then I didn't, and then I just, my mind just had like a brief like explosion, and I was like trying to argue with myself about what I should say. So that's why that just happened. Sorry for the moment of silence. The original vision for this, it basically came to be where I want to VC with people a lot, most specifically a one-on-one conversation, and not many people are available for that. I don't know if it's that they don't enjoy it or what the thing is. I don't really know, but it's very difficult for me, at least, to like reach someone one-on-one. And so my frustration of this, because this has been like it boiled over, obviously boiled over around whenever the first car VCs were getting recorded. It probably was that Friday. It was probably that week that it really just boiled over and got to me. Because I think I provide a good conversation, and I think I'm caring, I'm present, I'm dependable, I'm consistent, like I'm all these things, and yet nobody seems to really want to show up. And I don't know, I mean, it might have something to do too with that. I think I kind of like emotionally unavailable people a little bit because, well, I don't know why, but I think I would get overstimulated if somebody was like as consistent as me, like back at me. I think it would be a little weird. Like I like somebody who is gonna spend time with me, but also they're still a little bit independent. Like I don't really, because I also want my own space. You know what I'm saying? Like but because there are clingy people I've ignored, and I feel so bad. Like I really do. But it's like I don't like a lot of people. That's the problem. I want these moments and these conversations, but I'm very picky when it comes to who I talk to, and I just think it's because of my brain. Because I just don't think I can be appreciated if somebody is a certain way, and a lot of clinginess tends to be very shallow. I don't know that I've met many people who are clingy and have depth, and I assume that's because a lot of people are clingy because they lack depth and they're looking for it in somebody else. And I think I was just disillusioned the whole time, because after I had my breaking point, I realized that usually I'm the one who brings the convo to the table. I'm usually the one who brings the depth and the interestingness. So it's almost been a mirage that I felt like I've needed to see it in other people. Like I need someone else in order to get there. That's been like the whole problem. But I'm realizing it's not these other people who are special. I'm just attributing that to them because I'm almost seeing myself through them and how we interact. So I had this idea, why don't, instead of pursuing phone calls with people, if that's really the case, that it has been me this whole time and it's not really the other people, why don't I just make a video? Like, why don't I just record it? Right? Because I think I'm capable. I think I'm capable of that. It sounds like a good idea. And I just thought, if no one's available, I'll just start recording and start talking. I already talk to myself a lot anyways. It's just not quite as structured. I think I've explained this before. I'll be listening to music, and then I might think of something, lower the music for about 5 minutes, talk it out with myself, and then eventually put the music back on. And, I talk to myself here and there, but it's not with as much intent as this. Obviously, this is like very specific, and I'm definitely talking, and I'm trying to fill words and stuff, just spew as much as I can out. It's different, but it's something I'm a little bit used to, and I figured I might as well record it. Why have those moments lost to the shadows? Why have them lost to the void when they could be recorded and permanent? And I guess that was just my idea about it. Now, the thing is, though, is of course I had this idea like, yeah, I should be more selfish in a way. I should be appreciating myself. But I also thought of it in this sense of I can essentially connect and heal more people. Because if I'm a YouTuber and I'm putting what is essentially a one-on-one conversation on camera, that is going to actually be able to heal more people potentially. I think I already said this before, but I hated the medium of YouTube, and I think I just showed that. Like, I'm basically becoming a YouTuber, even though I don't think social media is good for us, but I think it's just because it's fitting for my place, and I don't know, maybe my movement will grow big enough one day to where it'll all just click, and all this I won't even have to do, and I'll be off in my tiny house with my 2 cars and my 2 computers, and I'll be a happy man, moderately wealthy, but I don't need to be over the top. But who knows? Maybe I will. There's no reason to limit. I may be incredibly rich. I have no idea what's coming. I know I'm going to be good, but it's, Now, where am I getting at? Yeah, because I'm just like totally going off, saying a bunch of random stuff. The original intent was, because I resisted doing it, I think, because I didn't like the concept. I don't like encouraging people to use social media. I think it hurts us. I think, again, like you bonding with me, there's no way that's as good as bonding with an actual person. And of course, it leads to inequality because people who are socially good get extra money and attention. I already explained this in another Car Ride VC, but I'm just trying to be brief about it. Although I don't know that I'm doing the best job of explaining, but I think that's okay. I think it's okay for now. Well, you know what? No, I probably should just go into that. Basically, like, I might be so good at talking that you might just want to watch me instead of actually talking to a friend, because maybe your friend is just average at talking. So it just creates this like further idolatry where people who are better are even more better, and then people who are average are just kind of like pushed down. And I think it's terrible. Like, I'd rather talk to somebody, because again, I could listen to a podcast, I could listen to the most polished and greatest speakers, right? Or I could talk to a friend who might not really be present. They might be playing a game while they're on the phone with me. They may stutter a little bit. They may not know what to say, right? And I can imagine, because I can carry through those situations. I mean, I can talk to anybody one-on-one. Obviously, you can tell I can talk to nobody. I can talk to nobody one-on-one, so you better believe I can talk to someone one-on-one. But I actually have a feeling most of you guys are definitely not able to do that. So if there's not somebody you know who is a textbook chatterbox like me, then you're probably... good, he went for it. If you don't know somebody who's a textbook chatterbox like me... Sorry, someone was just merging in front of me. I should have explained that. And then, like, I usually let them go, and sometimes they get hesitant, but this guy did the right thing, so I'm happy about that. Anyways, if you're not a textbook chatterbox like me, you may really struggle with finding one-on-one conversations because maybe you don't have it in you to talk. Maybe you want to listen, or maybe, again, but if you have the option of just watching an influencer, you're probably going to pick that because they're better at talking. So that's like my whole point is, and then they get even more money. I just think it's like not super fair. Now, the thing I'm getting at is this kind of made me resistant and apprehensive to using the medium for myself, because I think it is an inferior way of interacting, and I think it's hurting us psychologically. I think I just my revelation earlier was actually even further explanatory of that than even the one in the previous Car Ride VC, and it was so good that I think I'm going to make my own. It's going to be its own video. But what I'm getting at is when I first was doing it, because we're going to finally get to the point 28 minutes in. So 10 minutes after I made the joke about, Schla, are we going to get to the point? Yeah, 30 minutes in probably we'll get to the point. Sorry, guys. I just find other things to say and don't keep my mouth shut. When I first did this, that's what I was thinking. I was still thinking in this idea of service, because everything I think about like the collective and the greater good, and I think of all this stuff that a lot of people I don't even think consider. Right? I don't know that a lot of people. I think a lot of people grab what's in front of them, they grab what they can get, and that's kind of it. But I'm trying to think about like the bigger picture, and how just because something isn't hurtful to me doesn't mean it's not hurtful to somebody else. And the whole thing about the pie, and how if somebody has a bigger slice of the pie, it makes all the other slices smaller. All that kind of fairness, equal, mumbo jumbo, jazz. lot of fairness and equal jazz that I have touched on maybe briefly, but are very big principles and beliefs of mine. They are. I think that the world and God is definitely telling me that it's time for me to just be selfish. That's what I think. I think that I've been this way for a long time, and it hasn't been good. It's not good for me. I'm being giving, and I'm doing the right thing. I think I am right. I think that everybody should strive to be of good company to others. I think it's, again, the single most important thing. Period. But my belief's not going to change about that. I think I'm always going to view that as, if anybody ever wants to talk to me, I'm going to be there. I like to be there for people. Now, being famous, that is trickier to execute, but I'll figure it out. But of course, famous, I won't be able to do the same kind of things, but still, friends and people I've known, I always try to be available as possible. It's a very important thing to me, and I wish more people took it seriously. Lots of people are just, I don't know what their priorities are. I don't know. Maybe it just doesn't really faze them. But it phases me. I definitely care about it a lot. And that's what was happening. When I first started this series, it was just, my vision was to just give people a one-on-one experience, but that's permanent, and that could touch multiple people's lives. Instead of me giving these conversations and then them just going into somebody who is around for a minute and then they're gone. And I think that's actually what helped me realize, that's why people act that way. Because they're treating their friend as if they're like a YouTube channel. Even on Discord. I literally think that's what's going on. I think that's what people do. They treat experiences as if my account on Discord is a YouTube channel, and when they're bored of it, they just find a different. I just don't know that people can cope with boredom, or that there's naturally going to be dry spells with people. I don't know. And I think variety and novelty is just way too addicting for humans. It's, one person just can't, doesn't matter how special they are, one person cannot compete with the novelty of talking to multiple people. And I think it fries people's brains and changes how their brain, even at a subconscious level, cares or interprets social relationships. And I think I'm really onto something with that. I don't know why I didn't really think of it sooner. But by me doing this, it is seceding in a way. I don't think that's the right word. I feel like yielding was what I was going to say, but secede is when you leave. I don't succumb. No, I'm not. I can't figure it out right now. I'm succumb. Maybe succumb works. That wasn't what I was thinking of though. There's a different word. Maybe it is seeding. Seeding. Just not seceding, but just seeding. I think I'm right. Yeah. I'm seeding ground. I'm seeding ground to, but I am also succumbing. I'm succumbing to what is. And I think that this is good because it's permanent. It is conversations that anybody can interact with whenever you want, but I'm still getting what I want, which is something of quality. But the difference with a conversation is I've had conversations with people that I felt were incredibly special, right? But then they end up forgetting. They end up forgetting about the conversation. And that's very hurtful. It's very hurtful, and it's very hard to deal with, right? And so I'm just succumbing to it and seceding to the problem of I'm just gonna go along with it now. That's that, right? I'm just gonna become a part of what is, essentially. But do you see the problem with that? I don't think I really learned my lesson, did I? Because the whole point of this is that I finally found my outlet. I found my thing. Other people scroll, and I guess they get fulfillment out of that. I mean, I don't think people get fulfillment, but I think it occupies them enough. So I honestly think it is fulfilling to a lot of people. I don't know how else to explain it, because like, if it wasn't fulfilling, I think people would pursue more. But yeah, I think, and that isn't fulfilling to me. I don't like it. I could never really get into TikTok or things like that. It just isn't, I don't know, it's just not really what I mean, I like YouTube, but even YouTube, like, I could never watch YouTube over talking to someone. Like, that to me is just insane. And obviously a lot of people do that all the time. People probably like a video, or a video really captivates them, and then they would watch it over talking to someone. I could never do that. I think like a video to me is an inanimate object. It's not anything special. I can access a video whenever I want, but a person is only available for a limited period of time. So why would I ever choose to value a video over a human being? But people do it all the time. So, but you know, that's them and I'm me. But I was very frustrated because my outlet is wanting a one-on-one conversation. I love them. I could have a one-on-one convo for hours. There's really no limit. It's just my favorite thing. It's healing, and it's good, and it's so hard to find. It's so difficult, and the people I do like to talk to are just very unavailable. So what I'm happy about is that I finally found my thing. I found the thing that I really like to do this, and it is by myself. I'm not dependent on anybody for it. And that was the whole message. And that's why me getting upset about the views doesn't make sense, because that isn't the point. The point is that me talking to myself is very healing. These self-talk things, it's healing. It's good for me, and it's good for me. The point is not really to be there for other people. As much as deep down I think that's what I want, and I do care about it deeply, I think that that's not really the lesson that God's teaching me. I think God wants me to forge a path and to do something good for myself, and put aside like other people for a moment. And of course there is that additional benefit that I am sure somebody out there will think it's cool that I'm doing this, and people will appreciate it, especially after they've seen the consistency and the dependability. I'm sure some people are going to like it. I am certain of that. But I think for the moment, it really defeats the purpose if that becomes the entire point. And I'm always going to be upset about a lack of views, because I think recognition and appreciation are the most important things. I think, like, basically, and it's not even to say that to be like in an ego way. It's just, I don't really get the point of doing something if nobody wants it. Like, I don't think I would bother to do it. I guess that's just how I'm wired, right? I think that if I'm going to do something, I'd want to know that it matters to somebody, especially when it's like creating art, which this is art. It's my art. to have art not be appreciated, I just think completely defeats the purpose, because was it ever real? Did it ever happen if it's not remembered? These are just the things I think about. And it's not in an ego way. I don't need lots of people to care, just a small circle of quality friends. But I think it's important to be cared about. I don't think it has to do with ego at all. I think it gives us meaning, it gives us purpose. But people avoid it. I don't think people want the pressure. And some people are happy with just scrolling. And I guess I can't change that. But I can explain what I think would be a better future. But again, that is the point. I do need to take myself into account. And I'm not doing this for other people. I have to do it for me. And it's healing. It's so healing. Because before, I would need somebody to talk to. But I don't need someone anymore. And I've realized it's been me all along. And I don't know that I would have realized that if I just made it another game about getting views and trying to do things in order to get views. Right? I think I would have just completely missed it. Because that's where I could be right now. I could be either upset and quitting, or trying to scheme up ways to get more views. And I don't think that's what I'm being called to do at all. I think that I'm being called to know that I'm doing this because it's good for me. And that's what's important, is it's an outlet. I finally have my thing. People have their things, their videos or whatever that they like to watch. I do too, but talking is my thing. And so when people weren't available, it was hard. And I didn't realize it was here though, all along. In me. I was the one that had it. I don't need another person. Now, of course, I'm aware that I still do, and that socializing is very important. But I think it'll come. It'll come with fame. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people to talk to, and people will have an idea of me. And I don't know. I think everything will work out. It's just going to take time. But I'm in the right place now, at least. I wasn't in the right place before. Wow, we're already out of time, too. It is so healing, though, to be able to get my thoughts out with someone who will listen, which is just a camera, but it is good nonetheless. I'm really excited, and I forgot to mention, I'm going to have to slip it in because I really got to go, but the microphone was delivered today, so if I'm not lazy, that should be set up for tomorrow. So the next Car VC will have the good mic, which I'm pretty happy about, although at the same time, when I heard the way this mic sounded on my computer, it actually sounds really good, especially with the filter. So I'm not really sure how much better this one's going to be. I just think it will be a little bit better at keeping out the background noise, as it will be closer to my mouth. But really, this one's already so good, I can't imagine that other one will be that much better. I'm worried it's not really going to blow me away for all the extra effort it's going to take, but I'm hoping it sounds better. I'm hoping it's not sounding worse somehow, but we will see. Like I said, my prediction is it will sound a little bit worse, but the background noise will be a little bit better. And I really, really hope that it just sounds noticeably better. But even if it doesn't, it is what it is. Anyways, it's been a blast, but now it's time for it to be in the past. I appreciate your time. You could be anywhere right now, but you chose to be here, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Schla out.